Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL. When things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Rest kind of the next week as we go, and then we'll ramp up towards the Chargers.
How good was Tyler in that first drive?
Yeah, Tyler did an excellent job, yeah. And I thought, in general, it's a really good example of the length of a game. There's highs, there's lows. There's really good start. I thought the offense came out and played really well to start it. Defense responded really, really well. Defense did an excellent job in the 2 minutes at the end of the game. We snuck in some live live tackling towards the end with the threes, so we got a ton of situations in today.
Was that 120? Forgive my pedanticism, but does the 126 include things like punts, field goals, penalties, things like that?
I think it was just offensive plays. Yeah.
What's the one thing that I think of
It's just the way the rotation worked today. Yeah, obviously, try to get those guys all different opportunities, different exposures, and so felt like all three of them had highs, had lows, which is kind of what you expect in these situations.
You purposely mixed up the first team, second team, switching up like the first team offense against second team defense.
Yeah.
How does that evaluation go when you're going out to see how each unit performs?
Yeah, for the most part, it's 1 versus 1s, 2 versus 2s, 3 versus 3s. There are a couple times where we want to go 1s versus 2s and 2s versus 1s just to see how people respond. Put the two groups in situations where they're going against the first group, see how they respond. Does anyone kind of stand out in that certain situation? And so I thought it was good training for everyone.
So what is the thinking behind having the threes tackle? Is it preservation of the
yeah, just something kind of fun towards the end. Get the third group ready to roll. Get in a tackling setting. Obviously, self-explanatory. Alvin and CO and those guys aren't going to be a part of that, and they'll get ready in a different fashion.
But is there also an element to you probably got a lot of the less experienced players, and you want them to get exposed to that?
A little bit. I mean, it's going to be tackle in a week basically, and so a little bit of exposure there just to get a feel for it, and that'll be a big part of what preseason football is the tackling component is obviously something you can't fully replicate in these scrimmages or in these practices throughout training camp. So if we could steal a little bit of it with that group, we felt like it was an added bonus.
For the purpose of today, when you're calling plays, are you calling to try to give the quarterback the best chance for success, or are you calling plays sometimes to challenge the quarterback? Like, what is sort of your mindset calling?
No, I'm calling it for these guys to be successful. That's my whole goal. That should always be my goal when I'm calling these plays. We did throw it a lot more probably than we normally would in a game setting. Just put these guys through more reps and more opportunities. So certainly, if there's 126 plays, I don't know, that's probably I broke a record for passes, but that was part of it. We wanted to get these guys many different reps.
Do you feel like the quarterbacks are progressing on the ideal schedule that you would want them to be on right now?
Yeah, they're doing a great job. Yeah.
Was the rotation of quarterbacks pre-planned, or was that something you kind of did in the moment?
Mostly it was all pre-planned. There's a few, just little tweaks based off the reps, but pretty much pre-planned, roadmap, and Scotty did a good job with that.
See quarterbacks might be a little more in the collar, like not as much maybe thinking about it. Right?
Yeah, I love call it situations. We go through the install process early in training camp. You kind of have to script to make sure you get things repped, get experience with certain concepts or plays, and we do that on both sides of the ball. But as this thing progresses, we get more and more into these call-its because ultimately that's how this game's played. I do think it takes the thinking out of it, some of the over-analyzing out of it. You get a play call, and within about 15 seconds, you're executing that play on the field, and just whatever happens on that one, you go to the next one, and you just keep on moving.
Did you think Tyler took a step forward today?
Yeah, I thought Tyler did an excellent job. We had a little turnover there towards the end, but we get to learn from that. Like we said, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. Thought that first drive was excellent. I thought him and Spence both came out and just did a really, really good job. Just moved the ball really well. Got us in position. We got to feel willing to touchdown out of each of those, and so we just got to sustain it.
I know you probably have to look at it, but on that interception near the end, just hit it out faster.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it. I didn't see the protection aspect of it or the pocket. I was kind of looking on the back end. So, I do believe that one was a fourth down potentially. So we'll see how that went.
Did you the defense responded?
Yeah.
Before the end of the practice or in the second half of the practice. What did you like about maybe how opportunistic they were with turnovers?
Yeah, defense did an excellent job. I think that's a really cool teaching moment for us. Is no matter how the game starts, we certainly want to start fast, but it's how you respond, and you got to sustain things for 3+ hours on Sundays. And so our guys got some training of that. I thought our defense responded really well. You can see the leadership pop up. You can see the vets who kind of rally the group. This is players run this thing. That's just how it operates. And when they push the tempo and they get this thing going, special things can happen.
There's a lot of Levi Jones Jr. so far trying to get today. What do you see out of that?
Just doing a really good job. Obviously, the transition to running back, going to become formerly a receiver, and I think a lot of it, you see the burst, you see the explosive plays, which is awesome, and now you just see the details start getting better, the protection game start getting better. That's the big part that he's got to grow in.
You say unscripted, obviously the offense and defense didn't know what was coming, but did you talk with your quarterbacks and simulate sort of like a first 15 play kind of?
No, not necessarily on this one. No, we just wanted them to just play ball. That'll be really the remainder of preseason. We'll obviously roadmap those games pretty good, but this was just purely call it and react.
All right, shout out to the fam, man. Appreciate y'all being in the live, man. Welcome. Now, rock Q and the guys. Where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Thank y'all for being in this live on this episode of the Coma. And listen, fam, we had some interesting play today. It was a scrimmage, man. 126 plays that Kellen Moore talked about during the breakdown of the presser. It was a lot of stuff going on out there. The defense, based on what I was watching with it, looked like they won. The defense were able to win, but a lot of really impressive stuff. It's still very early on, right, in the process. Still very early on to decide on who's going to be the top quarterback right now, even though it looks like Tyler Shuck had a really impressive day today. When preseason rolls around, and we still have a handful of days before we get that first Sunday preseason matchup against the Chargers, it's going to be interesting to see how and who opens up. And right now, I think it's going to be Rattler who's going to open up that preseason game, man. So if that is indeed the case, he just has to keep doing what he's doing, and just keep improving every practice, taking command, keep doing what he's doing, and he can have a legitimate shot of starting the season as the starter now. Once that's just one caveat. Once, if you do get to that mark, remember that it's going to be a constant evaluation process from week to week for him to be able to keep that job. So obtaining it is one thing, but keeping it is a whole nother thing, right? So big ups to you guys. Appreciate y'all for being in the live. Much love to everybody, man. Thank y'all. I hope y'all had a fantastic weekend here, man, as we are coming at you guys on Sunday afternoon. Very interesting, man. So we was just going over some stuff where you guys heard Kellen Moore talking and kind of breaking down the game, answering questions about the presser. They had several other interviews that went on. But, man, the most important and impressive competition I like to see what the defense and offense is doing. But to be honest with you, man, it's the quarterback's day, right? It's the quarterback's day. And 16, what was the statistics out of 126 plays? A great deal of reps were given to the QBs in different first, second team operations. Spencer Rattler continues to be the guy. 16 of 26 was today. That's 66 of 97 for training camp at this point. Tyler Shuck was 26 of 40, 59 of 94 for camp overall. Jake Hayner, 19 of 26. Pretty decent day by Jake. 60 of 85 overall thus far. So that's where we are right now in terms of plays, this type of thing. So what I say, man, is like Rattler, he handled most of the reps early on because right now he's seen as the guy just ahead. Like I said, it's not an indictment on Tyler Shuck. He just got here. So, like I said, even if he turns out to be an all-time great, and I'm not saying that he won't, but it takes some of the best ones, to do that. And they all have to learn the same damn way. So anyway, man, it was seeing the highlights on it and being able to watch and see what's going on, man. It was pretty cool. Kool-Aid McKinstry, shout out to him. He continued to impress at camp. Doing his thing. Jacobson, the tight end, the big tight end, is taking his chance to step up because, Jawan Johnson is limited with the groin injury. He's kind of got a restricted status to him. So they kind of being, taking it easy with him because of the groin injury he had. Then you had guys like Foster Moreau and both Taysom Hill. They're on the PUP list. Then you had the retirement of Dallin Hawker. Then, it's just a bunch of stuff started happening. And then Michael Jacobs said, hey, man, let me see what I can do. So he's been out there flashing, making plays. We talked about Mason Tipton early this week, a couple of days ago, him making plays. Danny Stutzman out there flying around. Danny Stutzman is a natural. He's a natural at what the Saints got him going on. He's a natural. He's making plays. So it's a bunch of really good stuff, things out there that these guys are making plays with. So anyway, that's just some of the statistics. And by the way, some of those statistics overall, they provided by NOLA.com about the quarterback Spencer, Tyler, and Jake's overall statistics. So a good stat line there. Let's kind of jump into some of the breakdowns. Shout out to the Saints Wire, man. They did a really good job of kind of categorizing these or organizing these things for us to be able to kind of go over as well, because watching the footage and being able to see everything is not exactly like broadcast ready. Practice is not broadcast ready like a perfect organized game, so to speak. So you got many different vantage points viewing the game from the ground, not so much as the elevated look that you'll get a good crisp scrimmage film from the Saints organization. I doubt they released that. It'd be pretty cool if they did, so we can see it all. But this is the best we gonna see. All right. So anyway, let's get into it. Y'all hit the like button for me as we get going in this one. And like I said, man, these are some of the takeaways that the reporters picked up on at camp. They talked about Tyler Shuck. They consider him as the best today, as well, with some of the caveats. This is also a play right here they had when Julian Blackmon had a play with Rattler right there. He was in coverage and breaks up a pass that Rattler was trying to throw to Trayton Welch, who's the backup tight end. Let me see if I can put that up there. Oh, say so. Let's kind of roll that again for y'all. You can see right here. He kind of looks around, scans the field, and throws it. And then Blackmon waited for the ball to get there, and then at the very last minute, stuck his paw in there and kind of knocked it out. And good play right there by Blackmon, right there, seeing and reaching in there and kind of knocking it away. So good play by Julian Blackmon, who's been making some plays for the Saints at camp, man. Pretty good plays by Blackmon, man, to be quite honest with you, what we've been seeing him do. All right, anyway, let's get back into it, man, and hit the rest of it. But yeah, it was really interesting, man. It's like I said, man, is that we just got to make sure that we keep it going. Hold on, let me get it set up again, fam. My bad. I had knocked it off of there. Hold on just a second. Oh, here. Yeah, but it's what is rest is like I said, some of these plays that I seen them making, man, I just think that the New Orleans Saints did some really good moves. The Julian Blackmon thing, man, I was kind of skeptical of Julian Blackmon at first because I seen Blackmon as a guy that had a lot of injuries that was going on. And I kind of figured, I was like, man, you know what? We don't need that. We don't need to have somebody that's injury prone, but he's healthy. And when he's healthy, the man makes plays, and I got to give it to the brother. So anyway, let's get right back into it. All right. All three quarterbacks receive a lot of work. Shuck looked the best. With that being said, he left plenty to be desired. He had an interception, but could have had 3. He also had a touchdown, but had another one dropped. He looks far better than he did when he took the practice field for the first time, which is a good sign. And remember, by the way, when the breakdown occurs is the fact that they are talking about how Kellen mentioned unscripted plays, meaning that they didn't know what they were going to get. Like they practice all week, and then Kellen Moore then drops plays and they lapse. So, okay, we're going to run this, we're going to run that, just to see how they react to what's going on, right? Just throwing a little nuance in there to keep everything fresh, to keep the minds working. So that was very unique. And for them to still have decent performances with all that being said was actually pretty commendable and respectable. So anyway, it was game time like situation the quarterbacks have seen. Shuck responded well. he was more decisive, confident, and bounced back from mistakes. When there was bad throws or decisions, he didn't revert to the indecisive player that he was a few practices ago, which means we talked about Tyler Shuck as well. The confidence and all this other kind of stuff dealing with, if you want to be the guy, you stand in the pocket, you deliver with force, and you scan the field, you do what you got to do. You make sure you do it right, but you got to also make sure you are aware of all things at all times as much as you can. And it's a tough position, but that's why all people can't play it. That's why a lot of quarterbacks can't play the position. It's a lot to process, right? So outside of him, neither Spencer Rattler nor Jay Kaner did much to stand out. Rattler had a couple of good throws, but his best drive still stalled out in the red zone. He threw an interception and had a couple others broken up. So anyway, not bad at all about some of the things that we've been seeing here by some of the Saints players. And they talked about the standout players in secondary. We mentioned Julian Blackman with the play. We showed him breaking up the Trayton Welch play. Blackman had a tight end covered like a blanket, but Rattler still chose to throw to him, and Blackman just broke it up. On the next play, Kool-Aid McKinstry came down with an interception on the slant play. Kool-Aid would have been listed as the winner, even though that, he had a ton of confidence and is on pace for a breakout. Yeah, most of the times when you get young players like this, fam, just to be honest with you, when you get young players like this, like Kool-Aid McKinstry, usually coming into the second year, right? The second year, you'll start seeing players that are, and we see it all the time. It's the dreaded, sophomore slump. Like he had an impressive rookie campaign. Then it's the sophomore jinx or the sophomore slump. It doesn't hit everybody, but it does affect most players. But Kool-Aid McKinstry, I guess, one of the things that I've seen for those that it did not impact like that and they were able to just keep rolling the thing was guys that had their stuff together, right? They were studied up. They were prepared as much as they possibly can. If they made mistakes, they quickly learned to not make the mistake. You see what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. But Kool-Aid's playing a difficult position. He's a natural as well. So, hey, man, it's like he said before we had one of these other pressers that he did where he said, I'm made for this. And when you got a guy that's been in his psyche since he was a child. So, he's living in his environment. He's living where where he feels he needs to be. That's what you mean by you're natural. Nothing shakes you or rattle you. You know what the hell you're doing, what you got to do, right? Anyway, let's keep it going. Quincy Riley also had nice practice. He looks like a true ball hawk that showed the potential to be in college. While he didn't pick up a turnover, he got close on a deep ball from Tyler Shuck to Chris Olave in the end zone. Riley came down with the ball, but did not get his feet in. And we talked about previous days in which you did see Quincy Riley make interceptions, and he's been a regular guy for that. Doug Mouton talks about the fact that Blake Grupe is he's money from 54 yards out. He also hit a 59-yarder, and they say Grupe is killing it, and he looks like a star. So do we have a young star on our hand in the kicking game with Blake Grupe? Of all the completions happening across the Saints training camp, Grupe is the one who got his over with the quickies. There is also no doubt that he will be the team's starting kicker this season. The third-year player hit 2 big field goals on Sunday, knocking them in from 58 and 54. With his production with the new kickoff rules, he's looking like one of the more valuable players at his position in the league. So Rashid Shaheed continues to show off as well. As Shaheed doing this thing, a combination of quarterbacks not doing enough, and the secondary impressing that has kept receivers quiet for the most part. But Rashid Shaheed had by far the best camp of the receivers so far. The 26-year-old carries the new weight well, still looks like the same explosive player he's been for the past few seasons. He had a nice leaping catch for a touchdown, or a first down rather, from Rattler. Then later the two connected for longer plays of the day. So Rashid Shaheed's another guy that we talked about. And we also know that, that we know Chris Olabi's contract is coming up. Rashid Shaheed's also has a deal, but his deal wasn't a long-term deal either. Sooner or later, more sooner than later, the Saints will have to come to the table on Spencer Rattler. Now, not Spencer Rattler, Rashid Shaheed. If it does come down to if you had one to choose from, right? Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed. What do you say? If you had to, and listen, the Saints could very well sign both of them. They don't seem like they're really tripping on no cap stuff. But if you were the general manager, right? Let's say Mickey Loomis got tired of being a general manager and he gave it to you. He said, I don't lie. Listen, I'm tired. You guys. I don't lie. I'm a VP now. You guys are the GM now. And it's all your job. If Mickey did that and made you the GM, who would you, and you only had one that you could sign, which of the ones would you sign? Would it be Rashid Shaheed or would it be Chris Olave? You guys let me know. Who do you guys think it would be? Because that's a tough call because I like Chris Olave, but when people talk about Chris Olave, a lot of his money, because you seen what Garrett got from the Jets, big money, but the guy is a starter. Chris Olave can do a lot of the same similar stuff, but the injuries have prevented him. They're going to talk about the concussions, right? And based on this season, if Chris Olave cannot stay healthy, that can put a dent in his money. That could put a big dent in Chris Olave's money. It really could. So I don't know, fam. Y'all let me know which one y'all will go with because I don't know. Yeah, King Eternal said, yeah, that's tough, Q. He said, yeah. Chief, what's up, Chief Peanut? How you doing, brother? He said, Shaheed that's very tough. I know Mickey Loomis made you guys the GM general manager. Hold on now, get on out the way. Yeah, listen, I'm the VP now. Hold on. You guys are the GMs now. You make the call. So what would it be? If you had one to guess between Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, who would you take? Who would you take? That's not so easy, right? So that's what this kind of what the Saints are focused with right now in terms of eventually, because the next big contract has got to come from one of those guys, right? It's got to come from one of them, right? It got to. They got articles on it. You're seeing Garrett Wilson get paid. What was that? That big contract, and they saying that's where Chris Olave's contract will be somewhere around. He will be somewhere in that neighborhood of what, $20 million a year? Huh? I don't know. Yeah. Chip on that. Yeah, cartel, bro.
You ain't lying. Talk, boy.
Chris Olave with or without the Guardian cap. Once again, let's give you that's the key to it. Oh my goodness. Hey, you ain't never lying, brother. When we covered that on the last Patreon special when he talked about, Chris Olave, for those who don't know, Chris Olave, it changed his helmet, right? He changed it to the most safest helmet, the one that gives you I guess more protection in terms of the concussions and all this kind of stuff, right? He changed it to the safest helmet he could. But I was saying that there is a version, like it's a rubber, whatchamacallit, that you put on the helmet that some of the NFL allows you to play. I don't think they let you play with the Guardian cap during the season. They got something else that you could kind of fit over your helmet. Remember Don Beebe used to have? Don Beebe been doing this. This is the old Buffalo Bills wide receiver. He was in a return game. And he used to put this, it was like a rubber cushion or something over the top of his helmet. It looked weird, like a mushroom. But it was an early safety mechanism. They've been had these things. But this should be a mandatory thing for players that had over 5 concussions. Right? I mean, come on. This would be, if this was my league, and I was saying, hey, man, that would be one of the things I would do. Listen, if you had over 5 concussions in your professional career, not even talking about the stuff they do in college, because he had some in college. If you had over 5 concussions or 5 or more concussions, you would be forced to wear the most safest helmet, and you would be forced to put that extra padding on top of your helmet. That's what he should be doing, because I would put that on there. I'd took two of them and stuff them on top of that damn thing, because this is big for him, because if he doesn't stay healthy this year, this could really mess his money up. This could really mess his money up. So that's cool and all, but he did say that he will not wear the Guardian thing or whatever the one they have ready for the season, that he would not wear that on his helmet. He said that. So I don't know what's wrong with him on that. I mean, maybe he needs somebody else to make the decision that ain't have them concussions, because, brother, listen, brother, you done had over 5 concussions. Yes, I think he had either 7 or 8 of them if you add the college ones in there. the brain don't care whether it's in college or in the pros. But if you've had over 5 concussions, you should not only just have the safe helmet, but you should have the extra padded protection on top of your head. That's players' health. That should take them completely out of their hands and say, if you won't play, this is how you play. Because it's really helping you. Anyway, you can't function without this thing, man. You just can't. You know? So it is. Black Preacher Man, what's up, brother? Says Q. They both get hurt. That's true. He says, I'm giving Olavi the money. He has proven he can give you 1,000-yard season. Shaheed has yet to do it. But Shaheed has Pro Bowls as a special teamer. Well, he has a Pro Bowl. Is it 1 or 2? I think he has 1. Like he as a special teams guy. And you're right. He hasn't shown you that he can do what Chris Olave does. But it's still that's a good point there, bro. All right. Jack says Olave needs to grow some dreads. Would that help? I don't know if that would help. Desi says Olave doesn't want a 2-year. He said he doesn't want to wear the guard. No, that's right, Desi. He doesn't want to wear it. He'll wear it at practice, but when it comes down to the regular season, he already said that he gonna wear that the helmet. They even named it the Rayo, whatever it is. And the helmet is the helmet that have the indentures here. You know, like a little pad. It looked like you could press on the helmet and it goes in, and they got it around the helmet. Y'all seen it? It got grooves in it. And then this design where it got padding, and it's the most padded helmet, and it's supposed to be able to absorb, people hitting you, and then it kind of forms in. If somebody hits you on this side, the little indenture kind of bends in where all this kind of stuff. They got to figure it out. But still, in all, if it's a way where I can wear it, where I can have extra protection, like if I can wear the Guardian cap and it does not, mess up what the helmet is actually doing, I would consider doing that, man. I mean, sheesh, your money on the line. If you get hurt, this can really put a major punch in that. That's all I'm saying. You know, that's how I would handle it. If it's really about safety, like they say they do. All right. Keenan says, Colston, Henderson, Moore, Big Meech always seem like they were available. Yeah. But another question is Chris Olave really a number 1 or a number 2? Because the way the Saints wide receiver room, and we're going to get back to the thing, but this is just stuff that I'm thinking about. I'm like, what is Chris Olave? Is he a true one, or he's a compliment? Me personally, like I said, I like Chris Olave. I do. I know his brother be listening, but this the thing. I like Chris Olave. The issue is I think Chris Olave is better when he has another wide receiver next to him that's a possession guy. Like what they were trying to do with Michael Thomas and Chris Olave and then Rashid Shaheed, that is the blueprint. This right here, what I see with them doing with Cooks and all that, I don't know what that is. I'm just telling her, because I understand what you're doing in terms of you have a possession guy, a speeds guy, you got a speeds guy in the speed guy in the slot. Like what we had, like I said, Michael, Chris, and Rashid, boom, that was boom. They tried to redo it with what's his face? What's the guy? The guy from Dallas, Cedric Wilson Jr. And it didn't work, and they just went whatever it is. I don't know what this is, but in the end, like I said, man, that's just my point. Is Chris Olave a number 1 like Garrett Wilson is? Like they came out in the same draft. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's Chris. Chris has incredible talent. Love the guy. He make all the fantastic catches, runs great routes. Unfortunate about the concussions, like I said, because the concussions ain't something you can control. It's not like he going out there and tearing up a hamstring and doing all this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is somebody hitting him in his head and knocking him off the field. So some of this, how he's getting hurt, if he's getting concussions, he was talking about how he has to catch the ball and then get down fast. That's what he was talking about, how they improve, because he said he's not going to stop running in where that happens, like running in inside. Well, the linebackers and the safeties dwell, where they looking to say, hey, man, what you doing in my house? And try to knock you out of there because you ain't supposed to be over there, right? But that's what Chris Olave, he says he's not afraid to do that. He just knows I got to catch it, get down. If it's too high, let it go. Let it sail, because it ain't supposed to be up that high anyway. But it's going to be interesting kind of looking at that thing, man. Yeah, he says some of the fam, he says, Q, he might, what's up, L, says Q might be right about it. Yeah, I'm just saying in the end, man, because these are questions they're going to ask when it's time to pay him. You about to pay him $20 million a year. Garrett Wilson got what, 20 plus million a year? What was his contract, Garrett Wilson? Now, Garrett Wilson, I did a side-by-side on Patreon, the one before that one, when we was talking about when he got paid, and we compared the two because that's how they do it. In the end, when it comes down to is when Garrett Wilson got his money a couple of weeks ago, that set the floor for what Chris Olave is supposed to get. And he might not get as much as him because of the statistics, because Wilson's stats are better. But in terms of everything, they looking at $20 million a year for Chris Olave. That's what they're saying. But you got two guys coming up on contracts. I know Chris is coming up next. He's the next one to get paid. If he balls out this year, that'll shut all this shit down, what I'm talking about, and stay healthy. He'll get his bread. That'll shut it all down. But the fact that all this is here and right before his payday, he got to ball out. All right. So anyway, just stuff I want to say. What's up, T-Rob? He says, I really feel like Rashad is the number one and Olave is the number two. He says, no disrespect. I love my dog, but that's how it seems. And Cooks is just glad to be back. I'm playing. I love my dog, B Cooks too. And shout out to you, T-Rob. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate your comment on that. KT, what's up, bro? Says Chris Olave is a high-end number two for the Saints. See, and that's the talking point, because you're going to pay your number two $20 million a year. Who's going to be the guy? And I think, like I said, I think Chris Olave is awesome. But if you could take a player like, who's one of the best? Y'all tell me, who's the best possession receiver in the game right now? In the NFL right now? Throw them in the chat. Who y'all think would it be? Would it be Metcalf? Would it be I'm drawing blanks on it. I ain't gonna say Debo, because I don't see him as that. I mean, he good, but I don't know. I wouldn't call him that. But whoever you see as one of the top 3 or top 4 or 5 possession types guys, that's who would look nice there. Like, say, for instance, Saints had an extra first rounder and they picked Ted McMillan, a big physical wide receiver. And then you put him opposite of a Chris Olave. And then you have a Shaheed type guy in the slot. That's what I'm looking at. That's usually how most of them run. But I don't think they're even studying that stuff. They ain't even studying that. So we're going to see what they got going on, because Kellen Moore is a smart dude, man. We'll see. KT also says Q would sign Treylon Burks after you. No, I mean, I think Treylon Burks, he could use a change of scenery, man. But they were talking about that rumor before. And it was a rumor. I covered it on the show. It's crazy. It was a rumor about the Saints and Treylon Burks that was out there. Then the next day, when I did the cover, the man broke his collarbone and they released him. So that's telling you whatever was going on. It's like, damn, we got to at least let the man heal up and then give him an opportunity. We get a IR demand and kept him on the team or whatever. It didn't, I don't know what his contract situation is. I don't know if he got a year left on his deal, but they decided to just cut bait and run. Now, he could benefit from a change of scenery, but, I don't know if he would be a player for the Saints to look at, because you need immediate help at the wide receiver position. All right, King Eternal adds, Olave is consistent and reliable. He can make the tough, tight catches, Shaheed will burn you for 60, and it's a TD if he catches it. Indeed. One's more complete than other. I can see what you mean on that. It's going to be interesting. All right, anyway, let's keep it going back to this, man. Just a little stuff I was throwing at the family members to make y'all kind of put y'all GM hats on to kind of decide on if you had to make the call between Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. That's not too easy, is it? You ain't working, Saints got some money right now, but $20 million a year for Rashid is probably what you might be looking at. I mean, not Rashid, for Chris Olave. And then Rashid's coming after that. So you do have one here and the other one there, but it's something to think about. All right, anyway, let's continue. All right, there's been a combination of quarterbacks not doing enough and a secondary impressing that has kept receivers quiet. The 26-year-old carries his new height well, still looks like the same explosive player he has been for the past few years. They're talking about Rashid Shaheed. He had a nice leaping catch for a first down from Rattler, then later the two connected for longer plays. Kellen Moore and Staley tested as play callers. This is an interesting chess match between both those guys. Kellen Moore's offense against Brandon Staley's defense. An interesting note from the practice is that everything was unscripted. The plays that they were running were called live, forcing Moore and Staley to work endlessly and on the fly. The experience for them is just as important as if for the players as to test their ability to call the right plays depending on the situation, which is interesting because you guys know that that's something we talked about in the past, like to have this type of thing in camp this early, right? And you got like a week before the Saints' first preseason matchup, which is this stuff is rolling down the hill pretty fast, man. A Sunday coming up Sunday, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, we will have an opportunity to watch the Saints in their first preseason matchup, and we'll be calling the plays live here on the Sports Coma like we always do for some time now. And it'll be fun to be back to football, even if the preseason variety, and it's only 3 games, so I can deal with that. But to see them having the ability to get into the play call scheme, to do the live thing, and then quarterbacks still have it because 126 plays. A lot of those quarterbacks had a lot of reps today. They each almost like they had their own game. 126 plays. That's a lot of plays for a scrimmage. And the third team, the 1, the 2s, and the 3s all had an opportunity to participate. Like I said earlier, Spencer Rattler threw 26 passes. He was 16 of 26 in the scrimmage. Tyler threw 40 attempts. He was 26 of 40, and Jake Hayner had 26 attempts as well. He was 19 of 26. So each quarterback had an opportunity to be able to get in there, and then, like he said in live, no scripting, and be able to the head coach or the offense coordinator calls a play, and then they have to execute it based on their memory and what they have to do, and this is what they produce. Very tough. So in the end, they said Chuck did a little better. He had more attempts, 26 of 40. Spencer was 16 of 26. Hayner was a little bit better at 19 of 26, but then where did each of them kind of switched up and play and had an opportunity to match up with the first team or the third team, this type of stuff. But with all that being said, it's still showing that that your boy Rattler is slightly ahead. But anyway, that's just some of note to kind of get in and talk about what's really going on here because that's really the battle. Kellen Moore against Brandon Staley. That's going to be interesting. That no 34 defense will be interesting. So Michael Jacobson is emerging in the tight end room. He's doing this thing. New Orleans has needed more of their tight ends for a while. Taysom, Foster are both out. Juwan is still being careful with the injury scare from a few days ago. Someone needed to step up and make some plays. Michael Jacobson has been that guy to this point. He seems to catch everything thrown his way, even some flashes in his ability after the catch. The run blocking appears to be his weak point right now. But he might be doing enough as a receiver to make up for it, and it would be a shock to see him cut at this point. Yeah, because you don't probably would see Jacobson get cut because the Saints, if you look at who they got in terms of the tight end room, Jake Stahl, Matavo, Jacobson, Trayton Welch, they don't have a lot of options, and the Saints are not like they're bringing in anybody, right? Now, they did take a look at Noah Fant, who ultimately signed with the Bengals. But outside of that, you don't really see the Saints like, okay, we didn't get no offense. Let's see if we can go and find somebody else. Now they're just sitting on it right now. Now this could very well change next week because you have a week between now and then. That's a lot of time for injuries to start happening to the football team and things to start changing, positions or rooms to be evaluated. And then, of course, between weeks of preseason, weeks 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3, you'll see if guys are actually able to handle business in a simulated game. And some could be cut. We see this every year. So it's nothing new when players start off here and they ultimately end up getting cut or going somewhere else, right? So anyway, that's some of the stuff that's happening at camp, man. And speaking of injury, shout out to Saints Wire doing a good job of kind of briefing us on that. Speaking of injuries, this happened the other day, right? Nick Saldiveri was placed on Saints' first player of the 25-26 season, IR'd. And it is Nick Saldiveri. It's just really interesting because we've talked about this before, and the man had a knee injury and he done for the year. It's just so unfortunate because the guy is 24 years old. Every year he just got a string of, like he been snake bitten. It's almost like in his mind, it's very weird, but every year it is something going on with this fellow. And now he done for this whole year. I remember last year they brought him in. He actually had the starting job and something happened with his calf. The OTAs this year, he had some type of calf issue, and then now he's on the IR. So he'll be back next year. And the guy he got to overcome this. And he could do it because remember before, and this is a thing of the past too. Remember, that was the story of Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson was a guy we knew he had the talent. The problem with Trey Hendrickson is that he, in 4 years that he was here, every year, the first 3 years, Trey Hendrickson was hurt. He'll do good in camp, get hurt somewhere during the season, and people are like, man, this guy is good, but he can't stay healthy. Then, in the last year of his contract, he balled out and stayed healthy. And by that time, people just like, man, he just did that because that was a contract year, right? And then, of course, also that year, the Saints drafted Marcus Davenport to replace him. They already had the guy in the building that they wanted in Davenport. He was on the final year of his agreement. It didn't matter if he would have got 100 sacks. They had Trey Hendrickson marked for the dough. He went to Cincinnati, been tearing them up ever since. But that's the thing about the first, not 1, not 2, but 3 years of injuries. You build up a thing, and then people kind of like this. He built up a label of being a guy that was injury plagued. And once that happened, that's what outside people were saying about Trey Hendrickson. But ultimately, he never bought into that mentally. He couldn't. Look what he's doing elsewhere. Now, they still playing with him about his money, but I think eventually he going to get it if he don't get it from somebody else. Nick Saldiveri should use that as an example of what you need to do. And even though Trey's on the defensive side, Nick's on the offensive side, you got to gather that mindset to fight through this because this ain't good. Every year this man been knocked out and hurt. So what the Saints did, they turned to this fellow. Y'all remember this guy? We had him last year. Is Shane Lemieux. We had him last year. And like I said, Lemieux was a guy the Saints had. I nicknamed this guy Shane Lemieux, like as in Pepe Le Pew, because that's how bad it's placed in my book when I would evaluate him. Shane Lemieux, because it place stunk. It was garbage. He had no strength. He didn't know what he was doing. It was just terrible. Now listen, could he have a different experience this time around with the Saints? Now, yeah, it's possible. Why? Because they got new coaches there. Could Lemieux get it together? Could he turn it around? He could. You got Brendan Nugent as the offensive line coach. Possibly. He could do something different. New coaches, all coaches are not created equal. And maybe they can do something with Shane Lemieux. Because Shane Lemieux was actually a decent offensive lineman when he played, when this was before he got to the Saints, when he was with the Giants. He actually did some respectable stuff. But here is something else. So, I mean, out of all the people in the world, when you lose your lineman, you go back to somebody. And I'm like, why the Saints keep doing that? Keep going back to the same people we had last year. The same people, Landon Young, Shane Lemieux. We keep going back. What's next? Ali Udo? I hope not. Oh, he should say the next on Monday, the Saints will just sign Ali Udo back. Why? Who's next? Ali Udo? Oh, no, that please. All right. Anyway, I was thinking the Saints might have got this man, remember? Because he was the one that said he wanted to play again. What happened? The Cowboys got La'el Collins back. And I said, why? It was listen, fam. They signed, don't say that they got La'el first, right? They signed La'el later that day because they both got signed on the same day. But Shane got signed by the Saints earlier. I don't know what the philosophy is on picking these old guys up. I mean, I know is right now a lot of people is in camp, but goddamn, they got to have somebody else. I look at the free agency wire for offensive linemen. There's a bunch of guys out there. They're good enough to come to camp. So I don't know. I'm not in for the retreads, man. Especially how bad some of these guys play, man. Man. Anyway, all right. Anyway, let's keep it moving, man. Let's shout out to Eric Allen. Y'all remember Eric Allen was a former Saint. He got inducted in the Hall of Fame along with Sterling Sharp and Jared Allen and Antonio Gates, all fantastic players. Jared Allen was an unmitigated beast for many years. He was just unstoppable. Awesome defensive end. We faced him many times from the Saints, and he was just terrible. A force against us. When he played for the Vikings, he was just ridiculous. Antonio Gates was a guy that was just awesome. Awesome. I think Antonio, wasn't he undrafted? He was just phenomenal with the Chargers. Sterling Sharp. I didn't know Sterling Sharp was not inducted into the Hall of Fame. I thought Sterling Sharp was Mr. Everything for the Green Bay Packers. I actually thought that he was a little bit better than his brother. But Sterling Sharp got inducted, and both him and Shannon are in the light, in the light of the Hall of Fame. I think that's the first time brothers have been doing it. I don't know. But Eric Allen played for us for some while, and he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen was a fantastic cornerback. A lot of the great years that he had was a defensive back when he played for the Eagles in the Buddy Ryan defense, when they had Seth Joyner and Reggie White and Clyde Simmons. And wasn't Atwater a safety on that team? Atwater? Y'all correct me in the chat, but they had a fantastic defense, man. And Eric Allen was a cover man there. He was fantastic, man, in that defense, man. And he kind of did his thing. So you can see pictures right there, Shannon and Sterling right there. And Shannon is kind of going through some stupid stuff that he brought on himself. But in the end, man, it does not form as an eclipse to the light that Sterling is at, because he was a hell of a receiver for the Green Bay Packers, man. The man was fantastic. So anyway, this is some of the stuff, people that go Jared Allen right there. He was hell on wheels from the Vikings, man. That's Eric Allen. Kind of got Eric later on in his career. He wasn't as great for us, but I think he made a Pro Bowl with the Saints, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he had a good year or two with the Saints when we brought him in here. Yeah, I don't think we had a lot of success with him, but he was a solid guy, for the Saints. So we had an opportunity to have a Hall of Famer there. And you can see Antonio Gates. So congratulations to those fellas, man, as they just continue they move into that hall, brother. Congratulations. All right. So anyway, man, as we keep this thing moving, man, y'all got any questions or comments, feel free to throw them in the chat, baby, and we'll get to them, man. But yeah, what's very interesting, man, is that I'm looking at it, and look, Coming up Sunday, August the 10th at 3:05 p.m. is the Saints and the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Football. First preseason. I know it's just preseason. But hey, man, it's just fire. The training camp with all of the nuances, quarterbacks fighting for positions, a new offense being installed, a youthful quarterback, a head coach, all this stuff new, trying to find out who's going to be the guy, competitions at various position groups, defense switching from 43 to 34. Today, the defense actually won. It's just fun seeing it, man. Just seeing all of it come together, all of the changes happening, and the Saints will get an opportunity to go against to hit somebody upside the head besides their own teammates. And they'll get an opportunity to hit the Chargers upside the head. And we'll get an opportunity to evaluate each quarterback. And that's probably the kind of the coolest thing of preseason is the fact that if you actually got competitions going on, you could be able to kind of rank out who did what and where the battles are, who's ahead, because Penning is handling his business at that guard position. He has a handle on that, and we're going to see how that sticks coming into the game, because that's one of the things to be looking at coming up soon. Now, I'm going to preview this game down into the week, but that's some of the stuff that you want to look at. Of course, obviously, the quarterback situation, right? The QB position. The second thing we'll be probably taking a look at too is the running back position. How's that going, right? How's that going? Is everything holding up the way it's supposed to be holding up in terms of that? How's that working out? We know Elvin's the guy. Kendre Miller is healthy. Can Kendre Miller kind of show us a little something in some of them games? We know Devin Neal, Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire are there. The wide receivers behind the three wide receivers, Olave, Rashid, and Cooks. What is that looking like? Who's leading there? And like I said, a lot of it right now, you can say this guy is doing good. This guy is doing good. This is when you're going to see the rank form in the preseason games, and each one builds to a conclusion. When the preseason is over with, we get guys who should take the position. So do we have anybody in the wide receivers behind the top three guys who are making some headway? Bub Means, Kevin Austin Jr., Cedric Wilson Jr., Dante Pettis, Mason Tipton. Haven't heard a damn thing from Donovan Peoples-Jones. Don't mean that he won't see him. Tyree and Moochie Dixon. Can these guys step up? The tight end position, we see Michael Jacobson. Can Matavo grow there? We ain't talking about Jacobson making plays. They're talking about his blocking, not all that, which is crazy because Michael Jacobson's a big tight end. He needs to have that extra component of just blocking. A lot of these guys just won't catch. Man, you got to block too. You're not going to be run out on routes all the time. You got to be blocking. You're just a big mobile offensive lineman. That's what you are. So you got to also block and catch. So it's one before, but these are guys on the back end of the practice squad, and they're kind of not complete in their games, right? So who steps up? That's interesting. And of course, the backup line position, we talk about Penning and Dylan Redunce. And with it, the fight there, but Penning's is ahead right now running the competition. But what about the rest of these other backup positions? How are these other guys doing? And we'll see that in the preseason game when you put them in there. And then, of course, the 34 defense and all this kind of stuff, the lineups, who's playing this, that, and it's going to be just awesome all the way around, man, to see how that all shapes and moves. So a whole week of practices heading into the Charger preseason game. Man, we are here. We are here. All right. Anyway, man, let's keep it going, man, on here. I'm going to kind of flash to the family members and get some questions from you guys to see how you guys are doing out there. All right. Shout out to Black Preacher, man. Says Q, I'm talking about cutting bait when Loomis is going to cut bait with Saldiveri. First of all, thank you, brother, for that.
Thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
I don't think he's going to cut bait with Nick Saldiveri, brother. I don't think you won't have a coach to come out and talk shit about Nick Saldiveri, or even say you're going to take Saldiveri and put him on the injury list, even though he's not healthy. I mean, he's not hurt. Y'all know who I'm referencing situations back before, because I think that's what you had with this one. a black preacher man. The double standard, you know? They all talk shit about Kendra Miller, but Nick Saldiveri literally and figuratively cannot stay healthy. Every year that poor man hurt. Will there be articles on should the Saints cut bait on Nick Saldiveri, open up a spot for another guy? I doubt it. I doubt it. They just don't have the same. It's not the same energy for him like they have for Kendra Miller. And they might say, well, it's draft status. Bullshit. Nick Saldiveri was placed in the starter position last year and could not keep the job. That's how you ended up with Lucas Patrick and Shane Lemieux and all these and Udo and all these fools fighting for the guard. But that's how Patrick started. Lucas Patrick should have never started for the Saints. Not in a full-time capacity. He's not no starting level offensive guard. Lucas Patrick is a backup at this stage of his career. He's a backup. He should only be in there for 3 to 4 games tops. That I'm just keeping it real. But that's because Nick Saldiveri was not available again. So at some point you gotta say, hey man, we gotta do something. But there will not be any of this. There won't be a damn thing said about Nick Saldiveri being injury plagued. Perhaps with some of the writers that listen to the show, they'll say, you know what, Q, you're right. We'll write something on it and talk about why that should be the case. Why we need to write on this guy. He's been here all these years, but we can't seem to know if he can stay available or not. Fair is fair, right? Thank you for the comment, bro. I appreciate that. All right. Big, much love to the fam, man. I appreciate y'all, Ben. Thank you, Black Preacher, man, for that. And shout out to T Mama and Muse, man, for the Cash Apps. Much love to y'all. Let me give y'all a thank y'all for that. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world. All right. Appreciate the queens for the Cash Apps, man. T Mama and Muse. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, shout out to you. All right, big ups to you. What's up, Jack? Jack says there was still good wide receivers in the third round. We took Broughton. Broughton's interesting. Broughton's not ready to go, by the way. That's why you got other guys here, because you drafted Vernon Broughton, could play either the outside or inside position in the 34. That was Bo Davis's call. That's why I was saying a lot of the scouters had Vernon Broughton available in the 4th. The Saints took him early. And he would have been there in the 4th for you, but that was a Bo Davis call. Bo Davis is the a new defensive line coach that came over from LSU. Bo Davis is phenomenal. He's an excellent recruiter. When he was at LSU, he brought us all these top-notch defensive ends. And this guy been in and out of college and to the pros, back and forth, but the Saints needed a defensive line coach. They got Bo Davis. Excellent dude. That was one of my favorite hires of the assistants to get him he's going to get it all together. But Vernon Broughton right now is not ready. He's not ready to be a starter, but it'd be something they work on later on. But you won't be sorry you drafted Vernon Broughton. You're not going to be sorry you drafted him. Trust me on that. But yeah. All right. My dog Lowe's in the building. I ain't going to lie. As a Falcon fan, I'm legit worried about Kellen Moore. Well, guess what, Lowe? You should be worried, brother. Because Kellen Moore is smart. He got his quarterback here. The Saints still have talent. The only thing that saved Atlanta a lot of times, bro, was, this, the man from out there where you from, Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is not, he's not a smart head coach, not even close. He's not. A lot of the Saints' failures fall squarely on his shoulders. The dumb decision making, the bad way he handled his team. That was all on him. A lot of the losses was because of this idiot. He wasn't fast on the draw. He wasn't decisive. He was piddling. He was weak. He was dumb. He was a lot of negative things that impacted the team. And that the team is a reflection of the head coach. And every now and again, the team might win in spite of the coach, but most of the times it will not. And that's what we was dealing with. We don't have that no more, brother. So yes, indeed, you should be worried. Thank you, bro. Shout out to my dog, Lo. All right. What in the world, Bo? That's right. That's my dog. All right. T-Ross, I don't even know how pissed I was when they got rid of Trey. I was so mad when I saw he was one. Yeah, Trey Hendrickson But the thing, like I said, they just showed a flasher here that Trey Hendrickson is to report to cap. He been balling up there with Cincinnati. But the reality was, what's that old saying? Like they say, how I go fam 2020. Y'all put it in the chat. What a reflection going back 20. I forgot how the saying go, but y'all know where I'm reaching at. The thing is, we can look there and say, hey man, that was a bad call, because Davenport was not very good. But the whole Trey Hendrickson thing, they believed in Trey Hendrickson, but they couldn't rely on him. He was hurt every year, 1, 2, 3. And then when it got to his contract year, when he had like 15 something, 11 plus sacks. How many he had that year? Like 15 sacks or something like that. He has some ridiculous amount of sacks for the Saints, but because Cam was still worth something at that time. Meaning, I ain't no disrespect to Cam. I'm saying Cam was a threat. He was a force then, right? And they had to double down on Cam, and that freed Trey on the other side. So he was facing a lot of single blocking, and he was just doing what he's supposed to do: beat a single block around and get that sack. And that's what Trey Hendrickson was doing. But the question was, two questions. One, number one, could he stay healthy? And two, because the kind of money he wanted was to be a number one, a DE1, which is what he is now. But the question was, could he stay healthy? Was a big question, because he hadn't done it for that year, and it was a contract year, so people was doubting it because of that. And two, if I paid him this kind of the big money that he wanted, could he be that good to be the one, right? Which you couldn't. And then the third thing was, the Saints already drafted Marcus Davenport. They spent the first round draft pick on a guy to replace him that was sitting up there. So the Saints were already like this on Trey Hendrickson. But then he goes there and balls out, gets healthy, stays healthy, and does what he's doing. He's still fighting people for money right now. They need to go ahead on and pay him. How you get that other man who threatened to go back to college his money, but Trey Hendrickson, who been doing it, and they still having problems with? Pay the damn man. They got a guy literally threatened. He got drafted. He literally threatened the people to go back to college. They paid him. What's his name? Stewart? They paid that man. They paid him. But Trey Hendrickson sit up here still waiting for his bread. I ain't his damn agent, just saying. But in the end, man, like I said, man, that was the thing about Trey Hendrickson. They just didn't trust what he was doing in that fourth year. And it's just one of them situations where Trey says, yes, I can stay healthy. Yes, I can be a number one DE. And yes, I want the big bread. And it just happened like that. Could you imagine in reverse if that would happen, if the Saints would actually kept Trey Hendrickson? What that would have meant? We could have spent that first round pick on something else. And be spared the pick of having Marcus Davenport down here was an unmitigated disaster the whole damn way. That's right, Mr. O. That's why Kubiak didn't sign Lemieux. Yeah, he did.
He ain't lying. Talk, boy.
That's right. Kubiak didn't sign Lemieux. He took everybody else up there. He took MBS. He didn't take Shane. Shane was out there to tell you everything you need to know. That guy, man, we don't need these people down here. We don't need them. All right, KT said, Q, where's the energy for Jadeveon Clowney 2.0, a.k.a. Mr. He's never got, oh, come on. This Jadeveon Clowney. Oh, he says, the draft bust after Joe Burrow. Who are you referencing, KT? Put it in the chat. All right, thank you, OG. OG said, love the shirt. Yeah, that's the score tee my dog Lo had to wear. Say, Lo, you remember that? Let me see if I got Lo's tee. Here it is. There you go. There you go. There you go. What's up, Lo? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Lo loves it, man. Lo loves it so much he bought two of them. Thank you, Lo. Appreciate you, brother. All right. You see it, but you can spin it as a Falcon person, right? You can spin it. You can say, hey, man, listen, we beating the Saints. We beating the Saints 26-10. You can spin it. You can spin it. All right. There you go. All right. All right, he says Waters. Okay, at Water. Yeah, there you go. Waters. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, he was bad too. It was two of them back there. It was the other guy. It was two safeties for that Buddy Ryan defense. When Eric Allen was there, it was Waters and who was the other dude? Who was the other guy that was back there? It was two badass safeties back there. All right, what's up, Mr. Bonds? He says love Blackman and Reed in the secondary. Yeah, they big time, bro. It's so fortunate the Saints lose. They lose a retiring Tyrann Mathieu and then get a Reed down here, and then immediately get Blackman because I thought they would pivot to Simmons, which the Saints brought in before. The professor said it was Waters and Dawkins. Okay. Was Brian Dawkins on? No, Brian Dawkins was on that team, that Buddy Ryan team. It was Dawkins? Really? I don't know if it was Dawkins, huh? Okay, he was okay, there you go. Yeah, Dawkins was, I'm about to say Dawkins was way after the fact because I know it was Waters and it was another guy that was a terror. Them two safeties back there was really nice. Jack says, Q, you think they don't want to bring in a vet QB because Kellen doing someone a favor holding on to Haener? No, I think they just feel really, I accept what they're saying. I think Kellen Moore feels really confident and into the fact that he wants to have his guy. And it's one of these guys is going to lead the team into the future, right? And the Saints been playing this game where we've been getting veteran, journeyman, and all this kind of stuff for a while, and it's just not working. It's time for something else to happen. So just seeing that happen, I believe what they're saying insofar as that's concerned, fam. That's what I see, That's what I see. I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe what Kellen Moore saying about he sees one of these guys. That's why he's giving them, as opposed to they got rid of Hunter Deckers really early. I'm like, okay, you brought Hunter Deckers in here. And they're still practicing and all this kind of stuff. But he gets Hunter Deckers out so he can be able to give more reps to the third man because Jake Haener, despite our chagrin, he's seeing Jake wanting to really see with his most senior quarterback, which is Jake Haener 3 years in, how far along in his development he is. Because Kellen Moore don't know. He don't know what we've seen over the last couple of years with Jake Haener, especially last year when he got in that game, the Washington game, and stunk it up. That first half, wasn't that the Washington game when he played that first half and didn't do nothing but a bunch of 3 and outs? You remember that? That was awful, man. No pocket presence, no leadership, dog, just not knowing what. It just was awful. It was terrible. So I mean, did he learn from that? Well, he's doing better in camp now, but let's see when we see this look good, and even though I like what I'm seeing in camp, it's a positive. I look at the positives and positive, negative, positive, but you don't really start seeing it until you put them in these preseason games. And can they orchestrate a drive successfully? Can he scan the field? Because that's the thing. You're walking up to the line, looking, and see if you can see what you can see. You ain't just looking just to look. Pretending you looking at something, you're supposed to be scanning and looking at the field to see where these guys are lined up at. Where them safeties at? Maybe I need to call the audible if I see these safeties creeping up to the line of scrimmage. All those linebackers tipping like they're going to blitz me. This type of stuff. Seeing what the defense look like. And should I, and if they're crouching up to this line, should I audible to a deep throw? Take advantage of the safety dipping down here in the box? Or is it a ruse where he just dipping down here and then at the moment when I snap the ball, he's going to drop back into coverage? You're supposed to be looking at all that and be making sure your guys is lined up where they're supposed to be lined up. It's a lot to ask for, but that's why they make the big bucks. So I do think that he wants to see that, and he does see the starter out of these 3 guys. I think out of 2 guys, Buddy's giving Haener an opportunity to be seen because he don't know. That's what a real coach is supposed to do. He's supposed to have a real competition and not one where the backup, the guy wins the job and then he starts the season as a 3rd string as opposed to the 2nd string because that guy is a threat to your starter. because he's popular, then you'll start him. These real coaches don't do that. That's how you know it's a little different here. So I legitimately think that he wants to know, and I think he sees a start out of all these other guys. And plus, his system fits the young quarterback because it's going to be base run. It's going to be base run. That's why you get the temperament of the line. They called out Trevor Penning and said what he was the tone setter. They're trying to give him a role. You know, what's his role? Because it damn sure ain't Cesar Ruiz. Eric McCoy is getting, his temperament is changing. He's older now. And he accruing all these injuries, but he's the leader of the line. He's the sense in the line. But you're also trying to you got a young guy on the left or a young guy on the right. You got Penning been here for what? Going into his 4th year now. This is 4 years worth of Penning. 4 years. He a veteran now. He been in the league. So I got to give him a role. So he's the tone setter, meaning that, like, if you've seen footage of Penning, he was going up against Torricelli Simpkins and literally just pushed Torricelli Simpkins completely over. So he's big and strong, but that's the thing. Can he remember the proper technique when the game starts firing? Because they're going to target Penning. if he's fundamentally flawed, they're going to target Penning. They're going to target him. So he has to be able to retain all of the positive stuff that they're teaching him so he can keep that job. This is first time being a guard. It might be a better transition for him obviously it should be better that he plays the guard position, but he has competition from another guy for the position. So at the end of the day, we'll see how it go, man. But I accept that though. All right, King Eternal, I think we'll have a pretty good defense. Thank you, sir. All right. What's up, brother Lester? Who that to your brother? Good to see you in the chat. All right, Greg Raging Cage. What's up, bro? Says watch Chase Young going to be a monster. Chase Young is setting up for a good year. KT, I think that's what KT was hitting on. He calling the man Jadeveon 2.0. I think he talking about Chase Young. That's what I think KT talking about. Anytime KT can get us an insult on two people, he gonna insult. He don't like Chase Young and he don't like Andrus Pete. Anytime he can, he gonna throw an insult at Chase Young, and he calls him Is that Jadeveon 2.0? KT? Am I hitting on that right, brother? Am I right on that? All right, KT says, which wide receiver would you draft? Harbor from South. Yeah, I heard about him. A Smith from Ohio. I'll take Smith, bro. The guy from Harbor from South Carolina. I watched some footage on him. Pretty decent. He's a beast. But at the end of the day, you can't lose with them Ohio State wide receivers. It's just what it is. You can't lose with them Ohio State guys, bro. It's like, I don't know what they eating up there or what kind of program they teaching them, bro. But them wide receivers from Ohio State, bro, they just come to play. They just ready for the big dance, bro. They ready for the pro action, bro. They basically play in a pro style stadium all the time, pro style offenses. They just won the championship. Didn't they won the championship last year? Or was that Michigan? I'm tripping. They ain't if it wasn't last year, it's the year before. I forget. But the bottom line is they are always there in that pressure cooker environment. Big people playing them, the lights and all that. They just groom for that. So I would have to rock with Jeremiah Smith, man. All right, Bishop, what's up? Says Q. You aren't surprised your favorite online is on. Yeah, you talking about Mr. Shane, not Nick Saldiveri. Yeah, I talked about that. I talked about that early on, my fam. I just think that the man, I don't know what he need to do. All I know is your best ability. They tell me that best ability is availability, and the man not there. The man is not there. He not there. He not there. The first year hurt. The second year hurt. This is his third year or his fourth year. I forget. But each year he been hurt. They gave him the job last year to start, and he got hurt this year. Before he had this knee injury, he was hurt in the OTAs. He had some kind of calf issue. So, I mean, I'm just saying, you're reporting on him as hurt, right? But please treat it with the same intensity and consistency that you did with Kendre Miller. That's all I'm asking. Don't screw the double standard. Remember how Dennis Allen would target that man and say, you and all this bullshit, but don't mean. I say, what about Nick Saldiveri? Kendre Miller, in the limited amount of shit he did, he played more games than that guy. Your best ability is your availability is your best ability. That guy's never there. At some point, you got to say, man, we got to cut this off. He was supposed to be a guy that played multiple positions. We have not gotten any value out of this man. You know, no disrespect, but at the end of the day, it simply is what it is. You got to play. What's up, Bishop? Shout out to you, bro. All right, Jack says maybe our medical staff spending too much time on these players that are always hurt, that they can't focus on keeping everybody healthy. I don't know. I think most of the time we see it as, the medical staff is, supposed to be changing with Tom Rath coming in and how they treat these people's injuries. But right now, to be honest with you, with all of the stuff that we've seen, the Saints have been fortunate because we went through all of the practices of the offseason, and this is the big camp. Big camp, we here now. But you went through OTAs, you went to the involuntaries, all these other stuffs. You went through all these, rookie mini and you've been basically spared of injuries or all this kind of stuff up until this point. This guy literally, 10 days into camp is the first IR injury the Saints have. Now, you did have something that happened with Will Clapp where he got rolled up on, but Kellen Moore says that it ain't nothing serious. That he will let you know an update probably tomorrow or the day after. Right? So, we haven't seen the IR injuries. He's the first. But if you had put your money on something, if somebody had asked the question, I'd have won some money. If somebody asked, hey, Q, who you think? I bet you $100. I would have won some money. I promise you that much. I just hope the man get back right, man. But, like I said, you got to be healthy to play. Pete says, who that Q? Much love, bro. Thank you. He says, doesn't get hectic. Yeah, I hope it don't get hectic, Pete. Shout out to Pete, man. All right. English says, it's nice to be hopeful and have anticipation this year again. After a month of being fed possum, the future wasn't a mystery anymore. Indeed, it was I told family, man, I was like, fam, listen, the last 4 years were really difficult. It was really difficult because that guy was a fraud here. He wasn't who we thought, he wasn't a good coach. And then you had the leadership who had the power to keep him in place, not because he was a winner, because that's what he wanted to do, despite the results. And he would literally tell you, look past your results or look past whatever that dumb shit he said. He always saying dumb stuff. Hold on now. Look past the results. Don't believe your lying eyes. Hold on. I'm the great guy. No. You can't keep these guys here if they're not winning. You're not paying them. That money ain't coming from you. It's coming from us. So if we want them to go, you going to get rid of them. And that's what we did. He didn't like that. But he got to be taught a lesson. That you ain't nothing unless we say you something. If we want that guy out of here, we'll get him on up out of here. And didn't you get him out of here? Didn't you shot right past him and got Gale to get that guy out of here? You showed your power. And I'm proud of the Who Dat Nation for that. I've been saying that for a while. I was like, fam, I've been building that up for years to get that fool out of here. And the family says, you got to go. And Gale says, sorry, you got to go. I can't let you get in the way of my damn money. And they put him in the street. Besides, old boy was begging to keep him. It didn't work. All right. Shout out to y'all, man. All right. Low. Justin says, man, why they a dirty bird in the show? Hey, bro, everybody listen to the Coma, man. We got love for all my peoples, man. Big Low is family, man. Big Low fam, bro. Big Low got a Saints hat and all that shit in his closet somewhere. Big Low is a undercover Saints person, man. He love all that shit. Low be down here eating all this food and eating. Already know. Low be down here eating all this good food. My dog be coming true. My dog he know. Low, we got Low's soul is a Saints man, brother. He is. Low be down here eating that good food, man. Low is an undercover Saints man, bro. Let me tell y'all. So let me break it to you. Breaking news. All right. Shout out to y'all. English says, Q, do you think Possum was hiding his true nature while taking orders from Peyton? It's obvious that he didn't learn a damn thing from. Nah, it was all on him, bro. And Coach Payton wouldn't have done that. Would have told the man if the backstab is who does that? Coach Payton ain't tell that man, hey man, well, Arthur Smith or whatever that fool name was, walk up to you angrily, cussing at you, that you grab both sides of his stomach like he was pregnant, and then you tell him, hey, you know what, you're absolutely right. You right. While he's cussing and spewing and spitting at you and calling you everything but a child of God, you sit up there shaking and say, you're absolutely right. And you're right. And then you got Rizzy behind him, fussing and cussing and spitting back at him. Rizzy should have been the coach, and he was for a little bit. But that's what happened. But he didn't fight for his team. You're like, you're absolutely right. No. There was no rule in that wasn't a flag. That's why they didn't throw a flag. That's not a rule. If you want the rule to be that, then you get them to change it. It's a gentleman's agreement. No, this is football. I would if they're trying to sneak me on the goal line play, right? It's the last play of the game, and you're in a rivalry with your most hated rival team. They're liable to do anything. They knock your quarterback down on cheap plays and poke at your eyes and shit. You know, they do all that stuff. They do all that old stuff, right? Don't they? They do all that crap. You got your heated rival here. Who gonna sit up here and tell them why you do that? And they asked you to listen. It ain't like they just disobeyed and it's like, listen, man, we want to get the man a touchdown, such and such. It was a noble gesture. It's the Falcons. If it was reversed on the Falcon side, they would have done the same damn thing. I know they would. So he told them no, they did it. Now they were wrong for him saying, but that just show you how much respect they got for him. James Winston said, man, F that guy, man, let's go run the play. And got him the touchdown. Now, he could have lambasted them in the locker room and say, man, y'all don't do that. But don't come to the outside to the public and say, man, they did that on their own. Oh, they did that on their own. Well, Coach Smith said, he's right to be mad. He literally sided with the Falcons against his own team. We should have never heard about any of that until way into the offseason when it didn't matter, when it was just a story on the board somewhere. This idiot went out here and took the Falcons people's side against his own team, threw them under the bus and blamed them for it. I had nothing to do with it. They did it. Oh, that's a real leader right there. That's a guy right there that I would love to play for. That's what he did. And he did other stuff, but that's why he was a joke. Who does that but an idiot, a moron, a chump, a simpleton? But that was the guy they said was the leader of the team to take you somewhere? Man, no. Hell no. Hell no. He did that against his own team, against the Falcons. Come on, man. Who does that, man? That's why I say hasta la vista to your ass. I'm so glad. And then the quarterback left. And we right back where we need to be, baby. We don't need nobody. We good. We all right. All right. 0017 says, Q, how about Shuck sitting a year and letting Rattler start? Bro, a lot of people talked about Spencer going, like we talked about going into the off season. We mentioned it. We said, hey man, listen. A lot of people had Tyler Shuck, and they still have it set where he's the starter because, you know, it's just a guess. It's unofficial. But it's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult for a guy like Tyler Shuck. Fam, people talk about, and listen, this is so unfair because I heard Tyler tell John Gruden this, and I want to correct that because it's not the same. Tyler Shuck did not play 7 years in college. He might have been in college for 7 years, but he didn't play 7 years. Bo Nix played the majority, if not all of his time in college, whether it was with Auburn or he transferred a couple of times. He ended up with Oregon. But Bo Nix played all of those years. You had a guy like, what's his name? Gabriel, the guy the Browns drafted. He had a 7 or 8 year college career. He's super, what you call them? Super seniors or whatever. This guy played the majority of those guys played the majority of their years there. That's why a guy like Bo Nix goes into the NFL, right? with almost 2 years, we're almost like 2 terms. Like if you look at 4-year increments of like if you sign on as a quarterback, if you a 4-year guy, he had almost 8 years. I think it was 7 or 8 years in college playing football. Bro, listen. How many years does it take? We got his doctor, one of our doctors in the chat. We got several doctors that listen to the show. How long did it take you guys to get y'all degree? 7, 8 years? 8 years? The guy he was in college. Them guys was in there 7, 8 years, and Bo Nix was playing football the majority, if not all of that time. And the thing about that is you with 7 to 8 years of football playing in college, you are developed, right? You are developed. That's a different type of thing than a guy like a Tyler who played 1 full year. Like he might have played and got hurt. He played and got hurt. He got played and got hurt. Then he backed up this guy, and then he transferred over here and then started a whole year. The man might have been in college for 7 years and he's smart, but he only played 1 solid full year of football. You can't say because he played 7 years, he was in school for 7, he played 1 year of really worthwhile football. He had a very good year. And at the end of the day, the man is going to make the trek into the NFL and be a starting NFL quarterback just like that. And you got Spencer Rattler sitting there. And that's what I was telling you. Spencer Rattler got the chip on his shoulder. I know Tyler has it too, but it hits differently for Spencer because Spencer thought he should have been higher and he got picked up in the 5th round. People telling Tyler he should have went lower, but he got picked up higher than what they said. So the chip fits differently. You see what I'm saying? So it's more like validating that this is where I'm supposed to be versus what Spencer saying, this ain't where I'm supposed to be. So it's 2 different ways of motivation coming. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Spencer Rattler ain't the type of guy you can overlook and say, hey, man, Tyler's going to come in here and run over Spencer Rattler. He ain't Jake Haener. No disrespect to Jake Haener. I'm saying Spencer Rattler is a guy that was considered one of the best college quarterbacks in his time. He had some uncomfortableness. They talked about that little video that came out about him and all this kind of stuff. And that really would hurt him. That video hurt him well into his career coming into the pros. So he playing with that chip on his shoulder to prove not only to himself, but the rest of the world, hey, man, this is where I belong. And he operates with that mindset. So he ain't going to be that's not going to be an easy win for you. Just keeping it all the way funky with you. When you going against a person like that competitive, that's never an easy win. Because regardless of not, he's going to win regardless because he's going to do more. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And he ain't going to waste time arguing about who's better. And then, you see what I'm saying? He ain't going to feel like you have a disagreeable quarterback competition, like what you seen what happened with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Or even with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. When he didn't help Jordan and Brett didn't help Rodgers. They don't have that going on where they don't like each other. Them guys are actually a respectable battle where they're helping each other win the job. And Spencer, right now, to my estimation, even though Tyler had a really good day today, I'm thinking that in the end, Spencer Rattler is still in the lead. And when we get through this week into the preseason game, watch Spencer Rattler start first. He'll start first, and we'll see if he can maintain that, right? That lead, because it starts now. We're getting close. But like I said, it's a difficult thing when you got a guy that comes out there. But that's the differentiation that I wanted to make mention of because I heard him say something about that. It's different. You got a guy that played 7. It played is the key word. And he was in the games. Bo Nix played a lot of games in college, a lot of games. And he was in there. And I don't mean at some small school. He was in like really good schools and he was going against teams in very competitive environments. So he developed his football IQ, his all this kind of stuff is really high. Just imagine if guys stayed in college to learn a quarterback position for 5-6 years. When they come out, they're going to be really extra developed. That's what I'm saying. That's way overdue. Let me tell you, 4 years is normal. This guy was in there for 7-8 years. He almost had a whole nother 4-year term. He's beyond developed for the position, but it's not the same. It is not the same. Thank you, bro. Shout out to you. Brother Byron says, Q, I hate, he says they brought Shane Lemieux. Oh, yeah. He says, prove himself better. Yeah. I don't like the Shane Lemieux. I don't like the Shane Lemieux signing, but like I said, this takes solace in this, right? It's a different offensive line coach, right? We know Brendan Nugent's here. He's an offensive line coach. Different offensive line coach means should be different result, right? We should see a better version of this player if we got a better offensive line coach, right? So that's the difference. So that's the bit of solace that I can offer the family members who don't like Shane Lemieux, because he was terrible here last year, just like Ali Udo was and many of these other backup guys. But to see them back here with a different staff, maybe they get more out of Landon Young. Maybe they get more out of Cesar Ruiz. Maybe they get more out of most of these other guys. That's all I can offer, right? It's supposed to be different people, maybe a different result. I don't, we'll see, Was it Wes Hopkins? KT said it was Wes Hopkins. Thank you, KT. Shout out to you, brother. What's up, Bev? Shout out to Beverly. Shout out to the Queens out there. Much love, Bev. Good to see you. All right, Justin says Blackman low-key been nice, unexpected but nice. Need to get Jonas, some play time also, though. Guy has I seen the film, what you talking about, bro. Yeah, that guy flies around, and listen, if you watch his football film in college, he was doing similar things. Now, I like Jonas Sanker. I like that out of Virginia, but I like the other safety a little better, Xavier Watts, who was available too. I think the Falcons got Xavier the pick after us or a few picks later. But that's who I was looking at, because Xavier Watts makes plays. He moves the same kind of way, but he gets picks. He was like the leader on the back end of that Notre Dame defense. Xavier Watts makes plays, but he also gets picks. And that's the thing about, he got a nose for them interceptions. And I was like, man, we got to get a playmaker back there. But the Saints chose Jonas. I'm not mad at that. He knock your block off, and he's a smart player, but I think it's a positive, man. We got a good one in. All right, yeah. All right, big ups to y'all. Read y'all comments. Y'all crazy, man. All right, yeah. Chase Young is 13 and a half sacks, says 504. KT don't like that. KT, don't say that, bro. KT ain't gonna like that. My dog 504 Coach says Chase Young will have 13 and a half sacks this year. KT call that man Jadeveon Clowney 2.0. And Jadeveon Clowney has some decent years, KT. All right. Is he his cousin? I didn't know that. I did not know that. I didn't know that, bro. That's new. All right, KTC 100%. Chase Young is Jadeveon Clowney 2.0. Always hurt. Never had over 7.5 sacks in his career. And he finessed Mickey out of $17 million a year. Stop me when I lie, Q. Bo Davis isn't a miracle worker. Okay. Maybe that changes this year, KT. I mean, you can't see nothing with the man Chase playing at the linebacker position. Shit don't change. The 34 defense ain't gonna help Chase. Man, listen, bro. And it's just practices early on. So I can't disagree with what you're saying on a lot of this. All I can say is still early on. And that 34 look. I mean, I was watching the practices, not on just Chase, but Granderson too. Them guys look different. They look, especially Chase Young. It's like a challenge to Chase. He be moving around. The dude was batting the ball down, making play. I'm like, damn. This change is good for those guys, big guys, because, Curl and Chase Young, athletic big guys that you can drop them back, and play them. They can move around, this type of stuff. And still they're going to try to do it. So maybe, and I know Jadeveon Clowney playing the 34 defense too, but, he has some decent years, man. So, we're going to see, brother. We're going to see. What's up, Jason? He said, hey, give us a Mickey in I just did, bro. Not too long. Oh, why now? Goddamn it. Why now? You guys ain't qualified. He always like to tell you ain't qualified. All my reporter people out there, Mickey Loomis says you're not qualified to talk about his GMing abilities and stuff, his skills. When the ESPN told him that the reporter asked him, about the ESPN article that said that Saints had the worst depth chart in the NFL. Would he like to comment? You know, Mickey say, "Oh, that's nothing. You know, I know they're not qualified. You know, I mean, they need to buy their qualifications from MickSlickMickey.com. You know that he tells everybody not qualified. I never heard that before. I never heard nobody, general manager, even VP, get on the mic and tell people they're not qualified to talk about his team. What you need to have to be qualified to talk about the Saints? Tell me, because that's news to me, Mickey. Well, I know, goddammit. I'll tell you, goddammit. I'll tell you, you got to go to slickmickey.com and you'll get your qualifications there. Oh, no, we won't. We ain't going to do that. We ain't falling for that scam, Mickey. Man told the people, they're not qualified. And he said that the year before that. I said, look at this over cocky buffoon telling people they're not qualified to talk about stuff. What are you talking about, bro? It's crazy, man. Like I said, man, crazy. He's out of his new. How you not quiet? You tell a reporter that was an ESPN article. So that you don't have whoever it was don't have reporter credentials. I know whoever it is, they hired by ESPN. You gotta have some type of credentials in the degree, maybe a couple of them. Well, that's not good enough. God damn it! Oh, I know you. I ain't going to Slick Mickey University. Oh, it's a university now, huh? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Not qualified to talk about the Saints and his team. Oh my goodness! See, he just only wants positive press. All his moves that he make is the right moves. This kind of stuff, and that don't already go right. That ain't always the case. You're going to make some bad moves. The thing about it, he never admits it. You think he going to admit to when the day he fly out of here that that the Dennis Allen move was bad, the Derek Carr move was bad? He'll never admit to that. He ain't a truthful type person like that. You're like, you know what, man? Oh, I know, guys, man. This is the closest you're going to get to it. Oh, I called this press conference. Oh, I know. I'll turn it on. Where's my gum? I called this press conference to admit that I made a mistake. Hold on. I hired Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, and I shouldn't have done it. I apologize to the entire Who Dat Nation, and you guys were right and I was wrong. You never get that. You won't. That's the closest you gonna get to it right there. You ain't gonna never get that. He still sit up there saying, "Well, I know Dennis Allen's a great coach." He didn't he say that? Derek Carr, we love Derek, and Derek was a great quarterback. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't, and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You make a bad move. The guy's out here. We had to fix it for you, but that's all right. Don't do it again. That's all I'm saying. What's so hard about that? KT says, Q, Herbert was arguing with Shuck, and Shuck then transferred to Texas Tech, then to Louisville. I know a lot of times he didn't play. See, but the reason why I said that is because the development, even though Tyler's older, the age is still there. He just didn't play. He didn't take the reps, live game reps. He didn't get the live game bullets. Now, it's a difference insofar as the development, because that's how you develop. You can be a practice warrior. We've seen the Saints have a ton of practice warriors that come through here. Nick Toon was a good in practice. What was the all-time practice warrior the Saints had was Brandon Coleman. No, is it Brandon Coleman? Yeah, wasn't it Coleman? The dude was a super duper uber practice warrior, but when it came down to the games, he literally disappeared. Thank you, KT.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Brandon Coleman. How about that name for you? All right. Yeah, I know, bro. You said, I don't think he's ready either, bro. And it's okay to my Shuck people out there. It's okay. He's a rookie quarterback. He's going to get better. He's going, and that's the cool part about the game with Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, and even Jake Haener. Those guys help each other. right? So if Spencer does win the starting job, and if God forbid injuries hit where Spencer have to miss some games, Tyler Shuck will step in there. You see what I'm saying? It helps the team. Now it's a great competition for who gets the job, but it only makes the team better when you got guys like that because they help and prepare each other for winning, because it's ultimately a team game. These guys are not working with like just it's an ego involved. Let's not be, twisted, because they'll try to say the team is over the this type of thing. That's rhetoric that a coach would use to galvanize the team to buy into the team concept. That shit don't apply when they're looking for contracts. When it's time to get paid, that guy over there saying, hey man, I want what he got. Chris Olave, you damn sure believe that when Chris Olave sit at that table across the way from Mickey Lomas, he gonna use Garrett's Wilson contract, the guy from the Jets. He gonna use his contract as as an example of what he want. Watch. It ain't I when we getting paid, but after you got paid, then becomes we. That's how it go. I'm just telling it how it go. But in the end, I like what these guys are, because there's no animosity between Spencer or Tyler or Jake. And they all working together to help each other to be great, and may the best man win. It just so happens Spencer Rattler is ahead of the curve. He used his time in the NFL wisely, to make correct the errors, pick up the system to understand. He probably was calling people in the off season, like KT mentioned, the relationship and him talking to Jalen Hurts, calling him, picking his mind. He was hanging out playing golf with Pat Mahomes. You think they're just drinking and talking shit? He picking Pat. I guarantee you that, man. If you got Pat Mahomes, a $200 million quarterback, isn't he like $200 million? And seen as the best quarterback in the business, so you playing golf with him. I ain't picking his brain about the QB position. And I'm a QB that ain't got mine yet. And I'm chilling with Pat. Man, come on, man. I'm telling you, that's how it works. They're going to pick up any little bit of information that it can get that can help them get better and do better. That's how you win. That's how you win, baby. All right. All right, fam. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all hit the like button for me, man. King Chosen once said, I'm worried about the backup wide receivers. Them dudes is trash. I don't think Bub Means is trash, bro. Donovan Peoples, Jones, Mason, Tipton. I don't think those guys are trash, bro. I just think nobody ain't really stepping up like that right now, but we're still a lot of time, right? I ain't gonna say they trash, right? I mean, I seen a little bit from my guy said they trash. You worried. All right. Okay. I got you, bro. I got your concerns, bro. Jay says, get low. Yeah. The win Atlanta. Yeah. Oh yeah. Low, man. We shout out to my dog. I keep that picture on tap, bro. When my dog pop in, bro. That right there is cool. All right, KT said, Q, I never had a problem with Grandis. I know you don't. You just got, you don't like Chase and Andrews. Andrews ain't on the team. Says a fan as his in Wyoming, as far as Chase is, when you drafted in the top 5, guy was number 1, wasn't he? Top 10, you supposed to be a C, a B, a star, or I get what you're saying. Yeah, he says, Mickey, you not qualified, yeah, I know. That's what Mickey said. Didn't he say it? I ain't make it up. Rattler starred the first preseason game, Shuck the second game, Henry the next. I see the best man for the job. Indeed. Who do you guys have? What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to my brother T Dirty, man. Much love, bro. All right. Yeah, I get what you're saying with Bosa, Khalil Mack. Yes, indeed. This is a good point. KT, this is the best point you made about Chase Young. This is a great point. When you drafted in the top 10, you're supposed to make an instant impact. Bosa brothers, Khalil Mack, Von Miller, LT, Micah Parsons, and Young and Clowney went 1 and 2 overall. They're trash. Okay, bro. I guess I'm still not in on it. I mean, didn't Jadeveon Clowney have a decent couple years with the Carolina Panthers? I mean, when he was with he was playing with JJ. When he was with the Texans, wasn't he opposite of JJ Watt? I think his thing was he was doing all right, but then he kept getting hurt. I think that was the thing with him. But I think he did have a few years in there where he balled. But as far as Chase Young is concerned, yeah, I get what you're saying. Chase Young has a similar injury history, the potentiality, him coming out of Ohio State, he was deemed as the guy. But the thing about it is, the Saints get this guy, right? This is a number one. That guy wasn't Chase number one? He was a number one overall drafted player that year. And KT gonna build his house on that, man. I'll tell you what about Chase Young. Let me get him on screen right here. Because Chase Young, to me, I think Chase Young is gonna be that guy, man, for the Saints. That's just what I think. I think he's gonna be that guy. Yeah, he was second overall 5 years ago from Washington, from the Whataburgers. Yep, from Ohio State, 26 years of age. Let's see. What is his total right here? Let me see if I can find this right here for KT. KT. Hold on here. How many sacks? 22 sacks. Okay. And 23. He had 9. KT. He had, 9 sacks? No, 10 sacks. In that 23 year, when he first came to New Orleans, he had 2.5 with San Fran. And then he had 7.5 with the Saints in his first year. Right? Then 5.5 last year. Now, prior to that, he had 5 sacks in 2023. He ain't have no sacks in 2022 because he was mostly hurt. His first year, he shot out the boot, 7.5. The second year, he played 9 games, had a sack and a half. So he had a sophomore jinx. Third year, he got hurt. Fourth year, he came back and played only 7 games. He was banged up, but still gave you 5 sacks in 7 games. They got rid of him. He ended up with San Fran. He played 9 games in San Fran. He had 2.5 sacks. Then he came to New Orleans in the trade, had 7.5 sacks. So altogether, the man had 9 sacks that year? 10 sacks combined? And then he had 5.5 last year. What, that's 15.5 sacks? What, because that's what. So was you looking at the overall body of work, KT? He played in 16 total games the year before, not last year, the year before, 2023. 16 games. He had 2.5 sacks for the Niners. And 7.5. I think it said total is 7.5. Okay, so it's 7.5. So he had 7.5 and 5.5 between those last few years. So, I mean, bro, that's actually better than what he did any other time in a 2-year increment and anywhere else. You know, the 4 years in Washington, the 2 years that he's been affiliated with the Saints, he's been producing. So, I mean, what do you think about that? These are the stats. I got them here. So in the 2 years that he's been with New Orleans, he's actually been producing better than any 2-year period throughout his career. So does that buy him any? Does that buy Chase Young any help in KT's world? I don't know. I'm just throwing the stats at you, my brother. KT don't like the man. All right. I don't know what KT. You don't like the man. Jack says Cedric Wilson. I don't know, bro. I lost faith in Cedric Wilson. Reginald says Saints need to stay healthy. Indeed, bro. Justin says if I had to choose, I would choose Olave, Shaheed, Cooks, Tipton, and Means. Toss up for 6 if we can keep 6. Haven't seen nothing about Peoples, Jones yet, or even Means since the beginning. Yeah, they had a little stuff about Means. Bub Means had a few plays he was making, bro. It wasn't nothing to be like, oh, man, did you see what Bub Means do? Nah, it ain't nothing like that. But it's Kellen Moore's vision for Bub Means could mean something different, right? I think, here's some of the receivers right here. We're talking about the receiver group right here. I mean, who would you guys keep? I don't think the Saints keep 6 wide receivers. I think probably 5 would be more likely. But we already know Olave, Rashid, and Brandon Cooks are going to be kept. Bub Means more than likely is going to be the other guy. And whoever the 5th guy is going to probably end up. And if I had to say who would be, I think it would be Bub Means and Dante Pettis. That's who I think the 5 would be. If you keep 6 of them, then we probably could throw Cedric Wilson Jr. in there. or perhaps something like that. But if you're basing it on what's going on now, who's balling, it'll be probably Mason Tipton who making the plays. And you need a guy who's a returner. And the reason why I put Dante Pettis in there, because he's a kick returner, a punt returner. Who's the return people? Out of the wide receivers, who the return people? Because that's the guy that's occupying the 5th position in terms of the wide receiver. I mean, in the wide receiver room is more than likely going to be a returner of some sort. And we also know that Velus Jones Jr., y'all seen the interview from Velus. Velus was seen as a wide receiver. They have him converted to a running back, but Velus Jones Jr. out of the University of Tennessee is supposed to be a returner. So that's also something we keep an eye on, is who's the return people. Because you don't want Rashid Shaheed to be the guy because he's too important to your offense. So that means Dante Pettis, who probably has the most, out of the reserve wide receivers, the best record in terms of being a returner, what he did in college. Mason Tipton, I didn't see Mason Tipton as much as a return man. So, I mean, who else do you have? That's how you make the team. If you're Mason Tipton, Dante Pettis, Velus Jones Jr., you make it as a returner, a contributor to special teams. JT Gray got banged up. So, I don't think it's nothing serious, but in the end, that's how you make the teams based on your special teams play if you bury it in a depth chart like these guys are. So if I had to say, I would say Olave, Rashid, Cooks, Means, and Pettis. If they keep 6, you might throw Mason Tipton in there, or depending. But I was thinking, I haven't heard anything from Donovan Peoples-Jones. Not a damn thing. He's been real quiet. Him and Kevin Austin Jr. Kevin Austin Jr. haven't heard anything from him. So, but that could change. Like I said, this could change coming into the weeks leading into the preseason where these guys start trying to make some noise for themselves. All right. Cartel says, Q, if we drafted Jeremiah Smith, would you consider trading Olave? That's a great question. I like Chris Olave, man. I don't know if I would pay him $20 million if the injuries kept hitting him. Because listen, Chris Olave deserved that paper, man. He deserved to get paid. He's been a good wide receiver for a long time for the Saints. The guy, I got his profile right here on screen. Chris Olave been a phenomenal receiver for the Saints for a while, right? The man coming, like you say, you can see right here, picked 11th overall in 2020. Yeah, he been a phenom for the Saints. Coming up on this year, look, 72 catches, right? 72. The man had 72 catches in his first year. He had 87 catches in his second year, and last year he had 32 because he was hurt. He only played in 8 games. But he averaged, look at his average per catch. He had 14 and a half his first year, 12, almost 13 the second year. And despite the fact he played 8 games, he still averaged 12.5 yards per catch. That means every time Chris Olave got the ball, it was more than the first down. So he has a gift there, right? How you utilize him. But then, like those years you've seen, the 2022 year, how you use them in the capacity in comparison to a possession guy, got a lot of value. 87 catches, fam, was really a solid mark. And 1,100 yards worth of catch in the second year. That second year, in your sophomore year, you do that. You have 87 grabs, 1,100 plus yards, average 13 yards per catch, and have 5 touchdowns in your sophomore year. The slump did not impact Chris Olave. But like I said, he has the injury concerns of the concussions, which cut his year short last year. He could very well have easily had another 70 catch year. But the Saints, do you pay Chris Olave $20 million a year, whatever Wilson got? It's going to be interesting to see, man, how it all lines up. But I would, if I had to, I would try to see to be honest with you, bro, I would try to keep both of them, to be honest. I'll try to keep both of them if I could. Because Smith would be really good. And Chris Olave would be awesome. You have that Ohio State connection, right? I don't know if the Saints could keep all of them and Rashid Shaheed. I know Brandon Cooks is on a 2-year deal. So at some point, you got to make a move on some of these people. But Chris Olave, man, the big question mark for 25 is Chris has to stay healthy, man. He has to stay healthy to get paid. But I will see if I could try to keep both of them, bro. I wouldn't trade Chris Olave, if I could help it, because he's fantastic. It's a great. This is a solid wide receiver. Just he got these concussion things. People hit him upside his head, man. You can't control that. But it's just I don't want to give up no. What's up, Carla? Shout out to Carla. Yeah, Velas. All right, she said Velas. You think Velas will be the returner? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's true too, Jack. Pettis is a good deep threat too. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, these people are interested, man. Let's see. Yeah, Moochie. Yeah, KT says Moochie and Chris Tyree and Marcus Yarns return kicks in college. Yeah, we'll see if any of them dudes. We talked about the Marcus Yarns thing. If any of these guys, and that's probably why the Saints got him here, because they see them as not so much guys to help them in the wide receiver room as far as that's concerned, because they got guys there, but for depth purposes. But when you're on the back of the depth chart, like some of these other men are, your only hope to the team is special teams. So we'll see if any of them could mean anything. All right. Jack says if we draft a single position every year, then it will take years to build a wide receiver room. So you have to pay Olave and shorten the contract or add them void years. That's to make it Loma special, baby. You know that. But we need a big physical wide receiver that operates next to Chris Olave. In that, like I said, I was confused by the Brandon Cooks thing, but also remember the Saints were looking at Gabe Davis. They were looking at him. What were they looking at Gabe Davis for? This was well after Brandon Cooks was signed. Well, was Gabe Davis wasn't the guy that was gonna, Gabe Davis comes in, he's trying to compete, he's trying to take a spot. This guy's like a really good wide receiver. So if I'm the Saints, why I'm looking at Gabe Davis? What's the purpose of that? You see what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. I we'll see how it all works, man. What kind of thing with Kellen Moore got going on, man? We shall see. We shall. Yeah, we need a physical guy. Yeah, I agree, bro. That's what we was doing. That's what the hell we was doing. Well, anyway, fam, listen, man. It's going to be interesting, man, leading up to the season. But look, today was a good day for the Saints. They got their scrimmage in. Kellen Moore was able to get in there and talk about it. A lot of positive stuff happened in camp today. The scrimmage, 126 plays were called live plays, which was kind of took the quarterbacks kind of simulated live game action. They didn't know what was going on. Kind of threw a little mix in there to keep it twisting and turning. So camp's live. Like this is the first year we've seen where a lot of really positive stuff is kicking off. The nuances of new quarterbacks, certain position groups. We're looking to see who's going to be where and when. The formation from 43 to 34 on the defensive side. The punter battle, that's also something that a lot of people are not talking about, with the Saints adding that new punter, Kai Kroger, along with Burnup and the other punter that we have. So it's just these little battles all across the place, man. Like Blake Grupe is definitely winning his battle. Charlie Smith not nearly as accurate as he needs to be, and look like maybe things could change. It's still very early on, but Blake Grupe handling his business against Charlie Smith, Matt Hayball, Burnup, and Kai Kroger. 3 punters battling for the spot. A 3-punter battle is happening. The Saints are not impressed with Matt Hayball. So Burnup and Kai Kroger could possibly be guys that push him out of here. Good seeing what our secondary doing. Good seeing what up front to see if the Saints could stop the run. Defense did win the day-to-day. A lot of these practices, defenses have shown up. So, I mean, as we continue, we'll see how the Saints keep scoping and moving this thing. But right now, very positive. Very positive. We got a week away from the next matchup. The Saints have the first preseason game, August the 10th, at SoFi Stadium at 3:05 p.m. Saints' first game. That's next Sunday coming up. Saints will be in Los Angeles taking on the Chargers. The first of 3 preseason games. And then after that, we got a short jump and hop to the regular season, man. So it's going to be fun this all season watching all this happen, man. All right. Anyway, with that being said, listen, y'all do me a service by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. If you're not a sub up and join the Coma. Hit the notification bell for future content. I appreciate you. Shout out to our YouTube membership and Patreon family for your support. Also for our sponsors, Optary, Mint Mobile, and Teach Henley. Check those sponsors out in the description section below. And for Optary, you can get 20% discount on the sign up for people trying to protect their online identification, have all these stupid spam callers call them and spamming your email, all this kind of stuff. And it's just troublesome. But check out Optory. You get 20% off. Tell them the Sports Coma sent you with Big Q and the guys. So anyway, with that being said, listen, fam, I shall return. I'll be back on Monday. A lot to talk about on our Monday stream as well. Pelican stuff will be also available coming up this week. We'll have some more Pelican post-game report stuff to highlight at y'all. Boxing as well as college football, all that. We do all that. Also check out whothatdaily.com for all your news, notes, shared, join the list, all that kind of beautiful stuff. And I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one, man. Much love. Who that to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
whothatdaily.com. That's right, the whothatdaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, whothatdaily.com is your site. The whothatdaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019. Back then, you could get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Today, Mint Mobile's premium wireless has gone up by, okay, wow, that's it, zero. It's gone up zero. $0 a month since 2019. That doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me, but again, you're welcome. And I'm not an accountant. Hate math. Always hated math. True story. I was in math 10A when I was in 12th grade.
Being amazing is uncomplicated with Tiege Hanley's simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.